Right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So how have you been? How are you?
It's been a long day, but you know, the grind never ends.
Yeah. Man, I don't know where to start. I don't know. I think I initially stumbled upon your work on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I love the name RnBae, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
think it's so clever. So I think, I don't know much about the Miami scene, but I feel like I've been seeing more and more stuff pop up from there. Like, I feel like it's starting to become, I mean, I'm sure the scene was always there, but.
So Miami, I'm actually not from Miami. I'm from Virginia, and I've lived here for 5 years. So I guess I think once you hit like the 5 years, I guess you're like from the area. So
Right.
I've been here for 5 years. There's a lot of developing scenes here. There's a huge LGBTQ scene. There's a rap scene. There's me doing R&B. There is a huge Latin scene and EDM scene as well. So it's kind of like everything is a little bit divided in between like genre, I would say. But if you can move across everything, you'll have the most fun for sure.
Yeah. What's like, is it like a supportive community? Like, as a creative and a curator, do you feel like the local scene like shows love and stuff, or?
Yes and no. I feel like the best way to find love or seek love between cultures or like groups is to book within. So say like if I wanted an LGBTQ presence at my event, it would be great for me to just book someone like a singer that represents there. I think that's the best way, because honestly, like I think everyone is a little bit divided. People aren't like against going to other people's events, but it's not like their first thing. Like, oh, we're gonna go support this Spanish event today, or we're gonna go support this EDM event today. It's definitely not like that at all.
Right. Yeah. So how did you initially, not being from Miami, how did you initially like break into the scene?
Actually, I moved here and I wanted to work in radio. So I spent a lot of time knocking on doors and like sending resumes to radio stations. So I kind of like got in cool with the clique that interned 5 years ago at 103.5 The Beat, which is like our hip hop station here. So I kind of just like got in that way. Like they are FIU students, so they're like local college students, and started hanging out with them, hanging out at the studio. I didn't end up getting an internship. I'll throw that out there. But, it was cool to hang out with them and just kind of like make my way through the scene. It's like the party scene, hip hop scene, the rap scene. But it started with the radio station.
Yeah. And how did you end up going from like radio to events?
I actually wanted to be on air so bad, but obviously as a college student, fresh out of college, that wasn't like ideal for anyone. You needed experience. So they had me running their Twitter. And from there, I was kind of just, tweeting every day, like running social media. I didn't really know much about it, but if someone was going to pay me to tweet, I was like, okay, like I'll do it. I would go to events and like live recap tweeting. So that's kind of like when I started going to events. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like you can actually like document on social media. And that's when I got into like going to events and doing events, because I started tweeting about it.
Right. So then, like, what happened from there? Like, what was your first event, or like what inspired you to be like, I'm gonna?
I would say from there, like obviously I left because it wasn't enough money. It was very minimum wage, kind of do it if you can. From there, I went to a record label. Actually, I started working with Slip Inside Records, and they allowed me to do digital marketing there. I was working specifically with one artist. Her name is Tanir, and so she's like an R&B pop artist. And we did a lot of events with there. So that's where I kind of got my start in event planning, because it's just like, hey, this is this new artist. We need to kind of get her name out there. Like, what kind of events can we start thinking of to get her out there?
Right.
So that's like, my first event was actually a high school pep rally. Actually, for her, because that was like her crowd, like, the teeny boppers, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that listen to like Justin Bieber. So that was her crowd. And I spent a lot of time doing events there, and it was cool. It was cool while it lasted, obviously the record label isn't like the biggest label in the world, so it ended, but it's all good. It was a good time.
Yeah. So how did you like come up with RnBae?
So it actually came to me in a shower, which most things do. Like, honestly, any great idea to me comes in the shower. But I was working with an R&B singer at the time, Alicia Nicole, and we were kind of just, you know, like planning events around her EP release, and we didn't really find anything in the area that suited her to perform. So there were like open mics, there were rap shows, there were a bunch of everything but something centered around singers. And here, if you're a singer, it seemed as if you would either like stuck at the very beginning of the event when no one's like really there, or you're like in mission. So it's kind of just like no one really cared about her or them as singers, you know. So we kind of created RnBae as like a platform for her to sing her EP. To be high key honest, like we were just like, you know, we're gonna make this platform so you can sing your EP, you can star at it, you can headline. It's gonna be great. So that's like where it started, and people actually cared and fucked with it. I didn't expect anyone to come. It was like maybe 50 or 60 people. I'm just like, oh my god, you guys are here. And it carried on from there. Like all the branding, her first EP was called The Violet Room, so that's where the purple comes from. So everything is purple because of that.
Okay.
And yeah, kind of just carried on. People liked it and stuck with it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really cool. And 50 people is actually really good. I'm guessing, are like your events very intimate?
We kind of range. Like, so we've had events that there were a bigger space. We work at a venue called Gramps in Wynwood that has a small space and a big space. So we've used the small space, we used the big space. I like the smaller space because it kind of forces people to listen and be intimate, you know? So we go back and forth. We've used venues as big as like 500 people, and the smallest we've done is like 50 people. So
right. And where are you like trying to take it? Like, what is
ideally, we have an entertainment company that I launched a few months ago, but I've been like really quiet about it. So I've been working with a specific artist every year to kind of just work with their career, like more artist branding. So although we're gonna continue to do shows, I kind of like pick one person every few months to just work with them specifically, because I want the R&B artists and the alternative artists to have like the knowledge of how to brand themselves, how to market themselves, how to release a song. So it's more so artist development is where I'm taking it.
Yeah. Okay. But you're still going to be doing like the events and stuff.
Of course, they need it. They need it. So I would never give up the opportunity.
Right. I see like you've gotten RnBae involved with other organizations as well, like the festival that just passed.
Yeah, so we did 3 Points Festival. We've done A3C Festival as well. So it's just kind of like people see us, and I'm like excited that people see us and they want like some type of R&B curation, and they just like kind of dub us as like the masters or like the know-alls of like R&B. So like really, it's really flattering, and I love that they come to us and allow us to curate. So we've done a DJ room, we've done a showcase, we've worked with studios. Like it's cool. Just like allow us to be like the masters of R&B in Miami, and people
have you like stumbled upon any other groups or collectives that are also like just focusing on Miami, something like other than a blog, like
in R&B?
Yeah,
so they pop up every now and then. People would like try to say like, oh, you know, they're copying you, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't own the genre of R&B. I don't own the color purple. They do pop up. We've had Soul Lit Sessions, which was a cool activation that they did at a bar, and then there's also Soul Era Records as well. That's also purple and all R&B. So it happens. I'm supportive of anyone that wants to do this, just because we're very selective, and it's kind of like I don't want anyone to feel as if they didn't get on the only R&B platform in Miami, there's other options, you know. So
right.
I'm supportive of them and everything. You know, I haven't been to the Soul Era Records show yet, but I went to Soul Lit and it was dope.
Yeah. How was 3 Points?
3 Points was like probably the best experience of my life. Like,
it looked amazing. Oh my gosh.
The cool thing about it is our room was a little bit hidden. So once people like found it, it became like a thing. Like I feel like people started to tell their friends, and then people started coming out of everywhere. I'm like, where are you guys coming from? But coming out. So
yeah. Was it actually like slow dancing in there?
There were a few people that actually slow dance, but most people kind of just like bumped and grind, I guess.
Yeah.
There was a few. I have a few photos that my girl took of people slow dancing, but most people were just hanging out, vibing.
Yeah. That looked really cool.
It was dope.
I love
the blessing to have like that opportunity to do that.
Right. Yeah. Do you ever feel kind of like the pressure, like an obligation to like properly represent the genre because it's so scarce and like you are kind of holding space for it?
I do, and it's a lot of pressure because people look up to and look to us for like the next best thing. So if we say that this person is amazing, people are going to gravitate towards that person and want to work with that person. So that's why we all have to be very selective of who we support and who we promote, just because we don't want like to be represented wrong. Because at the end of the day, like it's our brand and we want R&B to represent well, but like say someone that's like probably not the best singer or like someone that's just brand new, they're just like, oh well, you know, if they think they're cool, then maybe their taste isn't all that, and we never want to,
Right. Do you focus only on like Miami R&B artists or like just all across the board?
No. So we actually, our Instagram and like our blogs are for everybody.
Okay.
We did a show in Atlanta as well, and it was dope to have a lot of Atlanta artists. We did a show in New York, and we had New York and New Jersey artists. So it's kind of like wherever we can go, it would be great to go. Like LA, we're trying to do LA this year. Houston, we're doing Houston this year. So I'm really excited to do more spaces outside of Miami.
Right. So how long have you been doing this for, like event planning?
Event planning, I would say 3 years. RnBae, it's 2 years old.
Okay. And how has that process been for you, like event planning? Because I feel like it's one of those industries where there's so much to learn and like there's so many different ways to like actually host an event and like source people and find, build your network.
Right. So I was working with an event agency, a marketing agency that mainly activated events. So it allowed me to see every L possibly taken. We've been in spaces where there was no Wi-Fi connection. We've been in spaces where there was no AC. So I've kind of seen like every possible situation to try to avoid it. So it allowed me to be like a little bit well-rounded and a little bit just like a step ahead of what could possibly go wrong, because everything could possibly go wrong.
Right. Yeah. I feel like event planning is definitely one of those things where it's like you just kind of have to do it and learn along the way.
You do, and then you learn. You do. Like, we did an event. I actually wasn't there, but the team went to Toronto, and we did an event. It was supposed to be a live activation where we were live tweeting and live Instagramming for the client. And we realized that Toronto is another country, so we didn't have like cell phone service. So no one thought about, like that we wouldn't have cell phone service and we wouldn't be able to live tweet. No one could find a Wi-Fi password or anything like that. No one thought of it. So
Yeah.
like, we ended up posting the content the day after, and then we lost the client. So so it's kind of just like you learn as you go. We've been in spaces that only have a front door and a back door, but no like secret passageways that like let in celebrities. We've been in venues that didn't have AC, venues that didn't have sound. So it's kind of like you learn,
Yeah.
and you go, and now you prepare, because nothing can happen at my venue right now. Like literally nothing can happen wrong. So
Yeah. So I'm aware that you also are a writer for the Miami paper.
Yes, I am. That was actually one of my first gigs when I first moved here. When I didn't get the radio internship that I wanted, I started writing for the paper. So I handled a lot of their hip hop and R&B stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's still kind of a form of journalism. I feel like radio and like writing.
I will say that I've never really steered far. Like I went to school for mass comm and journalism, and I haven't really steered far from it. Like I've always been in some type of journalism, marketing, PR, that kind of field. So I'm glad to put my degree to use. There's people that have a degree that didn't get to play in their field. So
for sure.
Always writing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like remember seeing you tweet something about like I don't know exactly how you worded it, but saying like how you love having that like stable writing gig, that stable writing job instead of like freelancing. You're like, I like the steady,
It's important. It's important. I think it's when you freelance. It is technically a freelance because I'm not not like a W-2 employee through them. It is like that we freelance, but it's a team of us. So we're always getting the first dibs on pitches. We're always getting the first stories. So it allows you to stay consistent with your money as a freelancer, because as a freelancer, you're kind of just like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to make this much for rent. At least this allows me to make the same amount of money every month.
Right.
I can make more, I can always make more, but I'm never going to make less. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important too, especially like a creative, to like not necessarily put so much stress on your art to like
exactly.
provide for you. Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get involved with event planning?
Okay, so my best advice for anyone that would want to get involved with event planning, I would say to plan events not for your friends. Because I feel like my first few events, I felt like I was trying to do so much to cater to people that are around me, like groups that I would want to like be a part of, and they never came. To be honest with you, they never came, and it's just like I was kind of leaving out a whole niche market of people that genuinely cared and wanted to come to the event. So it's just like you gotta focus on your niche markets and like who actually cares about your event versus your friends. Your friends are always gonna come, or if they're not your real friends, they're not gonna come, and that's okay. But you need
Yeah.
to focus on the people that do care. There are people that come to RnBae. Like there's this girl, I want to shout her out, Jackie. This girl Jackie buys a ticket literally every month. Shout
Yeah.
out to Jackie. I don't know this girl from anywhere. Like she's just a sweetheart that just followed the brand and has been riding with us for the past like 2 years. So that's
Mm-hmm.
who I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the jockeys, and I think everyone should focus like on the jockeys. It's important.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely think of my Jackies in my life that are like, oh my gosh, I see it all my events. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's because I think that was like one of my L's. I will say in the beginning. So I was just doing so much to impress like the in scene, and then the in scene didn't really care. You know, they don't care about live music. They don't care about local artists. But there are people that just want to go and hang out and listen to local artists. People that
Mm-hmm.
are fans of the local artists. People that just want to hear live music. You gotta focus on that. Like knowing your market is the best way that I would say for event planning. Knowing who you're marketing to.
Yeah. Is there a big R&B scene in Miami?
No, it's just us.
Yeah.
It's us. Now that Ella May and her and like Daniel Caesar are starting to like come to Miami like often and do shows here, we're starting to get like the millennial crowd like interested in it. But like I noticed like all the R&B stations, like the radio stations are starting to play more like R&B now. So it's coming. It's starting to come. But you still have to think of like R&B as most people think of like a 40 or 50-year-old market. Like there's a much older crowd that listen to
Right.
people like Brian McKnight or listening to like 112 or like Jodeci. Versus
Right.
like us that are in our 20s, we're listening to like, we still think Aaliyah is nostalgic, you know?
Yeah.
So it's growing. It's here and there, but
Was
not so much.
Yeah, was it like hard for you because that market was kind of so niche?
It was very easy for us because there was nothing like it. So everyone was very excited that there was something
Okay.
so new to do. So
Okay.
now we're kind of like in a stage of retargeting. So it's just like now everyone knows about us. Now we have to keep bringing fresh and new ideas to the table so people can stay interested.
Right, the consistency of the brand.
Right.
Um, so how can someone get involved with you? Because I'm sure like you do get inquiries from people like, how do
Of
I get
course.
involved?
Of course, I actually just had an intern meeting yesterday, so that's so interesting. Emailing me, just coming to an event. Like I feel like you have to like see what it is that we do. It's better to see it than explain it. But I'm always into working with people, collaborating with people, monetarily and intern wise. Like I'm not always looking for just like free help. There's people in New York that we work with, so shout out to like Dinnerland and AudioMac that are always supporting us in New York. So that was like a great collaboration. But just send an email, just like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to work, or even I don't know what I want to do, but I think it's cool. Like, how can I help? I'm
Right.
always with
Yeah, and it's like it also makes a big difference if like you volunteer. I feel like anybody who like wants to get involved with events or like
it.
with you, it's like so great for them to kind of introduce themselves to you by starting as a volunteer and then kind of getting in through that way.
Because that way I feel as a business owner on a business aspect, I feel like you always want to hire or pay people that are experienced in their job. So for me, it's so much easier to give someone a pay rate that has learned the job for like did a 3-month internship and knows the job. I don't have to ask them for anything, you know, they got it. It's great. So it helps build a team.
Right, yeah. And lastly, since like you help with like artist development and stuff, what advice would you give to an R&B artist wanting to get into the R&B scene? Like, I don't know if you've noticed any difference between like the R&B scene and hip hop, or R&B and pop.
I would say a lot of people here in Miami, like, they trade off favors in terms of, if you go to my show, I'll go to your show type of thing. So just
Uh-huh.
being yourself and being personable and just showing up and showing love. Like, showing love is very important here, or just like anywhere in general, and being genuine. So I'm just like, hey, I came to your show, nice to meet you. I follow you on Instagram. It's great to meet you in person. That person will most likely follow you back, and, oh, you're out having a show, I'll go too. So showing love and like receiving love, I would say that's the best way to break into any market, no matter what the genre is, because people like to feel loved, like, they like to feel appreciated. So if you appreciate them genuinely, they're gonna appreciate you genuinely.
For sure. Yeah. That's like something I always tell artists too. It's like treat other people, like humans, and like
Exactly.
have those interactions and like build those relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't come, like, people will say, like, I noticed there was one artist that people wanted to really work with, and it seemed as if he worked with like all of his friends, and they were just like, oh, well, I don't want to reach out to him because it seems like he works with all of his friends. I'm like, well, have you been to one of his shows? Like, have you met him? He's a sweet guy. Why don't you just go over there and meet him and
Right. Check it out.
genuinely, join his circle? So
Right.
just
Yeah.
being genuine, being yourself.
Yeah. And like not leaving it up to social media to like determine something for you, or like to
Exactly.
do all the work for you too. Because I feel like a lot of artists depend on social media
For,
only.
su- for sure. You have to do both. You got to get out there and you got to support on digital. So
Yeah.
both.
Man. Well, is there something you want to add, or?
Honestly, if there's any local artists, it was actually a question one of my interns asked me yesterday. So if there's any local artists here, someone asked me, how do you get involved with like booking and getting people to notice you for blogs and playlisting and like that? I would say my best advice for that is, again, to be genuine and personal. Read those people's articles. Say like, hey, I read your article on this, and I would love for you to write about mine. So it's just like, you have to be personable and meet these people digitally if you want to work. It's like, I will sit there and follow writers from the Fader or follow writers from the Complex, and now like I'm cool with these people, and it's not like an ingenuine, here's my artist, write about it. It's like, I like your work, you like my work type of thing. So
Right.
I
And I
think that's
feel
really,
like, yeah, and I feel like you have, like, it's cool that you have these like different roles career wise, because like you get all those different perspectives. Like you yourself know as a writer that you appreciate those types of approaches from people.
exactly. That's what I was telling him. I'm just like, hey, it really like warms me for someone to send me an email and said, hey, I read your article on this concert review. It was really dope. I have music similar to this person. I think you would like it. Let me know how you feel about it. I'm more inclined to like click and be like, oh, wow, you read my article. Like, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And then
Right.
as a PR, you know exactly what to say to these people. Like, I've worked literally almost every end of this industry. God bless. So it helps.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I was
No
like
problem.
so excited to like talk to you, because I feel like, I don't know, you're just doing something really different, and you're like a prime example of someone who saw like a hole in the market and like you just created it yourself, and it's like cool to see you doing your thing. Like, yeah, and I love R&B, man, so it's like I'm dying to go to one of your events.
Yes, I'm trying to, like, for real, like, anyone that's interested in like a city, like, if you're listening, please let me know. LA is on the map. Houston is on the map. We're definitely going back to New York and Atlanta. Someone from Toronto wanted us to come up there. So it's just like, wherever it's a need, we'll be there.
Yeah, when you're in LA, if you need any help, let me know.
Of
I'm
course, of
down.
course. We're trying to get to LA towards the end of the year, like October. So
Okay,
excited.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for your
No problem.
time and your
No
insight.
problem. Bye. You have a good one.
See ya.